So I got a phone call because she said nobody will go in this patient's room. No staff wants to go in there. You've got to come down and help us because we don't know what to do with this gentleman. It was pretty much the scariest patient visit I had ever received a call about and ever had been a witness to. This incident was so scary, I did film a video about it a few months ago, but I had to take it down. It was just so frightening to people. I was just getting all these comments and I couldn't deal with it anymore. So I just took the video down, but I've decided to re-release this story because I think it's really important to not just talk about the light, but we need to recognize that there is darkness and there is evil in this world. And if you haven't seen if you haven't woken up to what is going on in the world around us lately, I feel like there's just evil everywhere. But when it comes to medicine and healthcare, and the reason why I do want to release this is because I do work in healthcare. I've had some doctors and nurses come forward with their story. They've sent me messages, commented on my videos, have emails. I've noticed other healthcare workers out there on YouTube coming forward and sharing their stories. It's kind of given me a little bit of a thicker skin and really the strength to come out and re-release this video right now and tell you about the most frightening patient visit and incidents I've ever had. By the way, I'm Dr. Andrea O'Connor. Thanks for joining me on this channel. Hey, if you're new to my channel, we talk about really interesting medical experiences, supernatural, spiritual, and just really interesting things. So this was years and years ago. Of course, I'm not going to name the facility, but at the time, I was working in hospice. Now, again, this was years ago, and this was during the night shift. I received a phone call, and the nurse at this facility said, "We really need you to come out here," or, "We need a change of orders," or "What are we going to do about this patient?" And I said, "Okay, all right, what's going on?" And the nurse said, "No one will go in this patient's room." And I'm like, okay, what's going on? No one will go in there. This patient is screaming and hollering and, basically saying he was saying unusual things like yelling about "get them away from me." And, and again, I'm kind of thinking back to my old video that I said, but I had said that the staff said he was screaming so loud, it's as if his feet were dangling over fire. Now, again, let's think medically, right? Because a lot of healthcare people kind of weighed in on this, and I haven't even really gotten to the story yet, but let's weigh in on this piece by piece before you comment. I understand what neuropathy is. I understand people can have the sensation of burning and tingling in their extremities, especially if they have diabetes or nerve damage. Neuropathy can be so painful. I understand that. So again, that's in my differential diagnosis of what's going on with this patient. So we continue the phone call. He's screaming, he's hollering, nothing will get him calmed down. They've tried a litany of medications. Now, I'm not going to go into each medication because I got a lot of flack on the last video about it, but let's just say that every medication known to hospice and a facility, a hospital, was known to be used for anxiety, agitation, end-of-life agitation, pain, all the things, right? Antipsychotics, all the things. Now, whether your opinion on using medication or not, that's not the point of this story. I understand, and I would love to do a video on why I choose, if I can, to do natural remedies and treatments with patients if it's warranted and if I can and if it's safe. But this is not about that, right? The most frightening part was when she said nobody wants to go in the room, the heaviness, the darkness, all this medication, his screaming and what he's saying. And yes, he did mention, and this is what she told me on the phone, he did mention, "Oh my gosh, the kids in the van," and was screaming about the kids in the van. Now, I know in my last video, and you commented as well, maybe he was talking about children that were in a car crash, or the van crashed and was on fire, or maybe he was not a good person and did something to kids in a van. We'll never know, right? This is just what he was saying. But I think what the most horrifying thing was that no matter what medication, end of life agitation, and I know in hospice, those of you that work in hospice, yes, we know not every death or passing away is peaceful, with family around and friends around. We know it's not all like this. But apparently, the end of life agitation that this person was experiencing was not like traditional agitation because of the frightening, horrified look on his face. Get them away from me, get them away from me. And he wasn't talking about staff because there was no one in his room. So staff was afraid to go in there and take care of him. Now they did because you have to, but the fact that they were calling at night and saying, we've done everything, we can't get him to calm down. He's screaming like bloody murder in his room. And they had done everything, every medication, treatment, brought people in. Now, granted, there was no friends or family with him in the room. Staff reported that they felt evil and cold and heaviness in the room. These were all things that were reported. And so people were commenting, well, why wasn't someone praying over him? Why wasn't there a chaplain there? Well, just so you know, hospice does have a chaplain on their team. They do visit the patients. That actually goes on. The point of the story is there is sometimes bad outcomes with passing away. I can't prove 100% that this was a possession or a demonic presence, or he was literally having one step on the other side. Because when you're dying, you do see people from the other side. Well, what if you're not going to, I'll say, a higher vibrational dimension, or you're not going to what some people may call heaven? What if you're going to a lower vibrational realm or lower dimension, and now that you're almost about to pass away, because usually in hospice you have weeks, if not days, before you pass away. What if this person was seeing what was awaiting him on the other side? What if there were dark and evil entities coming instead of loving family members or angelic beings coming to get him? What if? I have no proof either way. These are just things that we experience in healthcare and hospice. And I thought it was really important to share this story again because there's so much good versus evil going on in the world right now. And I think everyone is awake to it now. And we see it on the front line working in medicine, especially if you work in hospice. And I know a lot of healthcare personnel will say, well, I work in healthcare and I've never seen anything like that before. Okay, well, yeah, I worked in healthcare for years and years before I worked in hospice, and I had never seen anything like that. So I invite you to comment below if you've ever experienced anything like this. If you're in healthcare and you've ever experienced anything that you just can't explain, comment below. I thank you for being here, everyone, and I'll see you on the next one.